My name is Megan Richards, and I am the Corporate Accessibility Specialist at the City of Ottawa.
So Megan, in a few minutes I'm going to be in the market with Ottawa Markets to launch the accessible washroom in the Byward building. But before that, I wanted folks to understand the policies around the accessibility environment at the city. So obviously it was a provincial act, the AODA, that was passed a few years ago, and there's been some timelines for implementations for local governments. What does that mean for us?
So we've made a lot of changes and improvements to increase accessibility in terms of customer service for our residents, in terms of our facilities and the built environment, and making sure that people are able to access all of our city-owned and leased spaces. We've made our information and communications to the public more accessible, and we've made our transportation services more accessible. So those are all aspects of the AODA that we have implemented.
And there were specific timelines depending on the year. Was there a recent timeline that is noteworthy, or that was a big struggle for us, or big effort?
Our next timeline coming up is for the Information and Communications Standard for web content and accessibility. So that actually comes into effect next January 1st, 2021. So there's a lot of work going on at the city this year to make sure that our web content and software and applications are accessible for all of our residents. We need to keep working with our private businesses, our business associations, to make sure that they have the education that they need to take the next steps.
So they also are required to meet the AODA standards, but it's a bit of a different application from what I understand.
Yeah, so the standard is the design of public spaces, which means that as municipalities, we're implicated. Private businesses are dealing with the Ontario Building Code that has lots of good accessibility components as well, and some changes were just made back in January to that to increase accessibility even further.
And that's a good, I mean, when you see a restaurant, for example, a brand new restaurant that requires a building code, we see those accessible spaces, the ramps, the washrooms, but the biggest challenge is, especially on the private side, is an older location that's been in operations for many years.
That's right. And we're always willing and happy to work with businesses on ways that they can become more accessible, even if they're dealing with those challenges of working in older buildings. We've got some great organizations like Stopgap that are working with our businesses.
I've gone to make a ramp with them.
Yeah, they're great. And eliminating that one-step barrier. They've done some exceptional work across the city with our businesses there.
Residents are interested in providing some feedback to the city for city facilities. What's the best way?
There's a few ways that they can get involved. Their counselor is one of them. The accessibility office is always taking feedback and working with our departments to increase accessibility. 311 is another great way to get in touch with us.
Great. Thank you very much. Hi everyone, we're here in the Byward Market for this week's video blog. I'm with Ashley. Ashley is the representative of Ottawa Markets. She's also the owner of Paradigm Properties. Ashley, good to see you. I hear you brought me down here. There's an accessible washroom in the market?
There absolutely is. Should
no
we go
way.
Take a look?
Let's take a look. Accessible washroom. That doesn't seem like an important announcement for some, but it is. The provincial government requires all municipalities in Ontario to make sure that their buildings are accessible, that their washrooms are accessible, that their rooms are accessible. That's what the city's doing citywide, and obviously in an area like the Byward Market, because of its historic nature, it can be very challenging. What the city owns here is the Byward building, the 2 parking garages, and yes, we now have an accessible washroom. Many of the private businesses, as they've renovated, are now compliant with the building code, which requires accessible washrooms. Others, because it's an historic zone, remain to be a challenged area. Come down to the market, things continue to improve.